Can you see how I'm bouncing to the rhythm of my stir? This keeps it all fun, keeps it new. I can stop now if you want. That just makes me really, really happy. Welcome back to Fusion. This is episode 3, and today we are going all the way from Central America to Northern Italy in this wonderful dish that is really comforting. It's hearty, but it's still pretty impressive. It's got a tiny bit of spice to it and also a lovely bit of zing. These are Chipotle braised ox cheeks with a creamy polenta and a lovely salsa verde. Ox cheeks are a fantastic ingredient, and I don't think we use them enough. It's one of those ingredients that is a cheaper cut of meat. I feel like all cheap cuts of meats have got a bit expensive these days. They're a bit more accessible. You can buy a decent amount of it and create a lovely meal for your family, your friends to sit around. I'm just removing the silver skin here. Even though it's going to be cooked for a while, when that skin hits a really hot pan when we sear it, it's going to tighten up. And we don't want to make this meat tighten up. We want it to be lovely and tender and juicy. It's also not that pleasant to eat, so you might as well get rid of it. And it means that we can get all the seasoning straight onto the meat instead of wasting it on the silver skin. The silver skin on the cheeks is pretty thick as well, so you want to really remove that. And look at that beautiful meat that you have underneath it. We want to get that out. We want to put that on the pan. Using the correct knife always helps. I use a long thin knife to get under the silver skin, and then I press up against it, and that is the best way to ensure you're not taking any of the flesh that you actually want. I want quite big chunks of beef cheek, so I'll separate these cheeks into 2 or 3 chunks. As they cook, they'll become really lovely and tender, but the idea is to have a tender piece of meat that holds its texture, so we can place it on top of the polenta beautifully. It's vital that we season this meat properly before we sear it. That initial sear is going to create a little crust, and that is flavour. That is exactly what we're aiming for. Be really liberal. Get a decent amount of salt all over every side of every piece. That is how you get flavour. If you wonder why restaurants can get a lot more flavour than you can, this is the first step. Seasoning properly. Don't be afraid of it. You want this pan smoking hot. Open your windows, open your doors, get ready. You can probably hear the bin lorry outside, because I have to open mine already. A decent amount of oil, high smoke point oil. There's no point using olive oil for this. And then you want to sear off each side. Don't overcrowd the pan. We're trying to sear it. We're not trying to steam it. Maybe do it in 2 batches. And once each side has got a lovely crust to it, flip it over, do the other side. Once you've got a really lovely sear, look at that, it's just gorgeous all over, dark brown. That's flavour, right? Don't ever forget that that is what you're looking for if you want to have a deep, rich dish. Once you've got that sear all over, pop the beef cheeks aside, bring the heat of the pan down. We don't want to burn all the veg. And we're going to start building that sauce. We're going to start off with some onions and carrots. I do like adding carrots in because it is quite a rich dish, and carrots bring a little bit of a sweetness to it. So if you can bring that in from the start, that's ideal. The beef has left over a lovely layer of meaty flavours right at the bottom, and our veg is now picking that up. That's perfect. A couple of garlic cloves into the mix. When you're cooking like this, or when you're braising, when you're slow cooking, the need to chop everything really finely kind of goes out the window. This is going to cook for 3 hours. So if the garlic cloves are pretty much whole or bashed, the flavours are going to release in that time. Don't give yourself more work to do. The other thing is, when garlic is left whole and has time to cook slowly, it has a sweetness to it, and it's really pleasant. It's a bit like when you roast garlic in the same pan as roasties, and then you can squeeze it out. I love that. I can eat that just as it is. It's sweet, it's caramelised, and that is a layer of flavour I want to get into this. So we just go straight in with that. We're pretty lucky these days. You can get some pretty decent Chipotle paste on the market instead of having to soak chilies or whatever. I love this one, it's so smoky. I put a decent spoonful in, but you will need to tailor this to yourself. It can be quite spicy. You can buy other ones that don't have as much spice in them, but that's what I'm looking for in a dish like this. It's a bit fiery, that's what I want. We'll mix that in to the onions so they coat everything. It gives the paste a bit of a chance to cook off before we go in with everything else. And then we're going back to some European techniques here. We're going to deglaze the pan with some lovely red wine. That's going to add real depth. It's going to add an acidity as that red wine reduces. And it's going to make this dish pretty rich, which is exactly what I'm looking for. What I want by the end is a lovely glossy glaze on these ox cheeks that are going to sit on that lovely creamy polenta. Doesn't that sound incredible? Let the red wine simmer away for a bit. I want it to bubble. I want everything that's in the pan to make friends with the other one before someone else comes in. I don't want to just overload it. I know it's going to have some time to simmer away on its own, but I want things to be cohesive. It's all about building flavour, building texture, Building friends. They're building friends in the pan. I could get in the pan. And then the last thing that needs to go in before the beef cheeks go back in is just some decent beef stock. I'm not going to say you can't use stock cubes or whatever, but if you want to make the most of a dish like this where you're spending a lot of time to create it, just spend that extra £2 and buy some of this. I really feel it makes a difference. The stock goes straight into the pan, and then we can just immediately add the beef cheeks right back in. Yeah, we want them all to be submerged. You can add a touch of water if you need to make sure they're completely covered. There's going to be a load of juice left in the tray that the beef cheeks were sitting in. Do not waste it. Chuck it right in. They're going to sit in that smoky, delicious bath for about 3 hours. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a cartouche to go over them. The cartouche is great because, as you can see, we've got little bits of beef that are poking out. As the liquid reduces, they're going to poke out even more. What the cartouche does is, if that's your beef, it covers it, and as the liquid is simmering and rolling, it rolls over that beef that is sticking out. That means you're not going to have any of those little dry bits. Also, it allows a tiny bit of evaporation whilst trapping in as much moisture as possible. That's what you want for slow cooking. And the way to make a cartouche, you want to grab a square of greaseproof paper. Bring one corner to another corner. You want to bring the folded edge over to the other edge, okay? Keep going until you get what resembles a really rubbish paper aeroplane. Really rubbish paper aeroplane isn't going anywhere. Sorry. It did go somewhere. And you want to grab yourself a pair of scissors. I can't find any scissors. And measure out where you need to cut. Place it in the middle of the pan, and you want to go just over the edge, and that is your line. So I'll just cut the line there. And then as you fold that out, you'll end up with a circle that is just a little bit bigger than your pan. And then you just want to place that over the pan, place that over it, and really press it in, but be mindful because it is obviously quite hot. That will relax and it will just sit over the beef. And then we can just leave that for 3 hours now. I might come back and give everything a little turn once, potentially twice, so that I can sit and do this thing. There's 3 elements to this dish. The first and probably most important is underway. That is going to do its thing for a good 3 hours. The polenta I'm not going to do until nearer the time, but what I do want to do is the topping, the Salsa Verde. Salsa Verde has a home in both Italy and in Mexico, so it is the perfect accompaniment for this. Firstly, it brings everything together a little bit. Secondly, the sharpness that you get from the Salsa Verde, I'm going to go on about it again. I'm going to keep going on about it, and I don't want anyone to have a go at me. The acidity makes all the difference. It lifts it up. I absolutely think it is the difference between a good dish and a great dish, one-dimensional dish and one that sings to you. Just because it's hearty, it's meaty, it's kind of full-bodied, doesn't mean you can't lift it up with something like this. Salsa Verde, green salsa. You can kind of put in whatever you want to it. I'll be going pretty traditional with shallots, parsley, garlic, and today we're going to put in some lovely jalapenos as well. A bit of spice, a bit of Mexico right through it. But the beauty with jalapenos is, yes, they're a bit of spice, but they have a different type of spice. It's almost a tiny bit sweet. It's a bit more mellow. It's more accessible. I know not all of you like your spice, so we need to be nice. With the jalapenos and the shallots, we want to make sure we have a lovely small dice. The best way to do that is get them into strips by cutting them off the seeds, thinly slice them, bunch them together, and then you can go through everything in one go and you'll have a lovely small dice. See that? All pretty much the same size, nice and small. You're not going to get a big scary bit of chili. So we've got our shallots, we've got our jalapenos. Now it's time for the herbs. I'm going for parsley and coriander. So here's our parsley. When you're cutting herbs, or when you want to get them really fine, the best thing to do is roll them into a bunch as tight as you can. You don't want any stragglers, okay? And then you can treat it as if you treat anything else. Get the claw hand and just glide through it. It is much better to do it like this than go through it 10 times trying to make it really fine. Be prepared from the start and you'll help yourself. I've managed to produce that just going through all of that parsley once. I'm going to go over it once more to make sure I catch any big bits, but it is really that simple. I hope these tips are helpful. If there's anything you really want to know, just drop it in the comments and I'll try and feature it in the next video. I'll show you that technique again with the coriander because I know it's quite useful. Roll it up into a really tight pile, bring everything in. It's almost like a burrito, and then you glide through it with your knife. Claw grip to save your fingers. A sharp knife, of course, helps as well. Get all your chopped little bits, scoop them up straight into a bowl. Obviously, we need limes, okay? I'm gonna go in for about 1.5 and see how I do. I do want this to be pretty sharp because that beef is so rich and deep because the polenta is so creamy. So I really hope it helps when I explain these kind of flavors to you because it's how my mind works. It's how I decide how to cook and it's how I decide how to put recipes together. Once you've mastered that, it makes life a lot easier and you can kind of do it in autopilot. Normally a salsa verde would be fantastic with a bit of red wine vinegar, but what I'm using today is apple cider vinegar. This is some of the best apple cider vinegar I've ever tasted. It's got like a molassesy almost sweetness to it, along with the sharp hit of apple cider vinegar. About a tablespoon into there. And a decent amount of good olive oil. Look at that. This dish is half Italian after all. It needs good olive oil. The final thing before we start mixing, salt. Season it well and give that a beautiful mix. Oh, look at that. That is looking stunning. Give it a taste. Whew, that tastes fantastic. It's only the beginning because we still got about 2.5 hours left on that beef. I'm gonna pop this in the fridge and let it sit. The acid is gonna break down the shallots. It's gonna bring out a completely different flavor profile to everything we've added into there. Things like this can really do with time, not the herb, that kind of time. Clocks. Let everything mix together, meet, become friends. The acid needs to get to work on things like the shallots that we want to mellow a little bit more. The beef's on the hob. This is going to go in the fridge. It's still got another couple of hours to go. I'm going to go and have a pint because the sun has just come out. We'll come back, we'll make the polenta, and then we can eat. That's what we've all been waiting for. Hello again. Where did we leave off? So, we've been braising these ox cheeks in a really lovely chipotle sauce. We've made our salsa verde. I know the video has just continued and you guys are completely aware of what's happened, but in 3 hours I've got to have 2 pints, so I'm just kind of recapping for myself, if that's okay with you. We are doing this together, so the support is welcome. And then we've got this lovely salsa verde. These ox cheeks should be ready to just fall apart. They're going to be super tender. I turned them I think twice in the time. Get rid of the cartouche. I'm going to gently remove them from the pan. I really do want them to keep their shape for now. They've got this really like deep brown but also orangey colour. Such a great sign. And then that sauce is exactly the same. I'm not going to get rid of that sauce. It's going to be very important for the next step. We're going to glaze those ox cheeks in the sauce. I'm going to strain out all the veg in there. The onions, garlic, carrots, they've done their bit. We've taken all the flavour out of them. And just toss it like this to make sure that all the liquid comes out. You don't want to waste any flavour. And then we'll get rid of the veg. That sauce is going to go back on the hob and it's going to simmer away until it thickens, becomes glossy. And then we'll put the ox cheeks right back in, coat them in it, and that will drizzle our polenta as well. It'll be the most beautiful gravy. It'll be really rich as well. While that bubbles away, we can move on to our final component, which is the polenta. Polenta is, I wouldn't say something that we have commonly in the UK. It's starting to get a bit more of a name for itself. It's just cornmeal, really. You can create a really lovely creamy polenta that almost mimics mash. This is essentially a wonderful piece of meat that falls apart with a lovely rich gravy. We're just going to serve it on top of what is quite similar to a creamy mash. Of course, with this being fusion, it won't just be any old polenta. We're going to create a lovely cumin and garlic polenta. I'm going to pop a bit of butter into the pan and let that melt. Once the butter's melted, we're going to go in with the whole cumin seeds. I want them to toast and I want that aroma to fill the room before you do anything else. Sprinkle them in. Cumin's an interesting spice because you see it in so many different cuisines. Obviously you see it in like Sri Lankan, Indian cuisine, but very commonly in Central and South American too. As the cumin toasts, we're going to grate in some garlic. This is on quite a low heat. I'm just looking to toast the cumin and want to make sure we don't burn the garlic. Once you can really smell the garlic and you can smell the cumin, we're going to go straight in with the polenta. Mix it around so it picks up all the flavours and it picks up some of the butter. In essence, I'm trying to really lightly toast the polenta as well. That colour is fantastic. Look at that. You see that? What a wonderful colour. Do you know what that colour reminds me of? The title of my debut cookbook, Elevate. Have you bought it? No? Go and buy it. Buy the book. Please do buy it. It's very good. Right. Now that that's all mixed together, we're going to fill it with 600 ml of water. And on a kind of medium heat, we're going to stand there and stir for a while. That's the best way to ensure that you don't have a clumpy polenta, that it all mixes together nicely. It will take a bit of time, but just to start, make sure you're mixing it. You don't want to watch me do this for much longer, do you? Can you see how I'm bouncing to the rhythm of my stir? This keeps it all fun, keeps it new. I can stop now if you want. Once you've reached that nice creamy stage, it kind of falls off your spoon like mash would. We're going to do 2 things. Firstly, we're going to season it. Little bit of salt. Number 2, just like a good mash, we'll chuck in some butter. That will make it really nice and creamy. Delicious. And then once you get to a stage where your polenta is done, it's nice and creamy, smooth like mash, and your sauce is reduced. Look at that. That is so glossy. I think you can see my face in it. And then we can add back in the beef cheeks. We'll baste them a little bit, get the temperature back up, get them covered in this wonderful glossy sauce, and then we're pretty much ready to go. Bathe them, bathe them. Look at that. Gorgeous. Whew! got a bit of kick to it as well. We've got our three key components. We've got that lovely creamy polenta. We've got that braised Chipotle ox cheek. And we've got our sharp, zesty Salsa Verde that we're ready to plate up. Start with a lovely bed, that creamy polenta, topped with a piece, maybe two, of ox cheek. Watch how it just sinks into the polenta. Finish it with a glaze, and to lift it all up, our wonderful Salsa Verde. This is proper food, it's hearty, it's delicious. It takes time, it takes love. That is how I want to eat. That's how you should be eating. What you all want to see is me tear that open, isn't it? Oh my God, that's ridiculous. All it takes is 3 hours. Ready? Can you see that? Oh. You don't need a knife. Oh. That just makes me really, really happy. It's so comforting and packed full of flavour, but because we've not used cream in the polenta, it doesn't feel overwhelming. I wouldn't say it feels light, but it feels pretty balanced. I want more sauce. This sauce is like crack. When you mix all that in with the polenta, the Salsa Verde, Episode 3, and it might be the best yet. I hope you've loved this week's fusion recipe. I honestly do think it might be one of the best so far. This is my Chipotle braised ox cheek with cumin and garlic polenta and a Salsa Verde. Comforting, packed full of flavour, somehow quite light and incredibly enjoyable. I'm Bryn, this has been Fusion. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe if you have. I will see you next week.